All right, you guys, my 997 and Porsche expert buddies, I'm gonna need your help on this one. Let's dig into the mechanical aspect of this thing. I'm gonna talk about the transmission, I'm gonna talk about the center locks, we're gonna take a couple of wheels off. I might show you a couple of things. You hopefully will teach me a bunch of things. I know that this car had JRZs on it at one point. Just ducking my head under it, it looks like it has Swift springs on it. I've been looking at Tractix DSC. I think that might suit me well, so maybe you can give me some input on that. Let's check out where the sway bars are. Right now, when the car's driving on the road, there's two major issues. One, the transmission is super notchy. And it has a numeric shifter. I don't believe it has numeric cables. First to second gear, second to third gear is real clunky, almost as if it's trying to lock me out of it. And so that's one issue. The other issue is, I'm telling you, I know how a car's supposed to feel. And I know that this thing is much more planted than it is. First issue was the tires were like 42 PSI, so I fixed that. It should be 29 in the front, 33 in the rear. I think it was 41 in the rear and like 38 in the front or something like that, so that helped. But literally the first time I dropped in the car, I went on just a little little curve right next to my house at like 28 miles an hour. And I just let off the throttle. I was like 20% throttle, just letting off from 20 to 0. The rear end just wiggles. You just feel super unstable. I think the front is probably a little bit too low for the stock suspension, but let's get it up in the air. Let's see what I got. Let's see if we can discover that. Maybe you can kind of in the comments help me think through this. So I'm going to do a call coming up here with Jamie from Dundon soon as well. Okay, let's take a look under here. So the first thing we're going to do, we're going to dry ice clean all this stuff. So all this will be brand new looking. The front lip actually looks pretty good. It was probably replaced at some point not too long ago. And so we'll dry ice clean the front lip. There is a little bit of a scrape right here on the front, but these are now 550 bucks. They used to be like 180 bucks. The two brake guides, I'll replace these. So that's a pretty simple swap. So we'll replace those, dry ice clean all this, dry ice clean all the front suspension. We'll dig into that in a minute here. So I'm not gonna pull these panels off, but I'm gonna have to pull the center panel off and assess because the front axle lift isn't working. I found a whole thread that some of the guys shared with me on the Rinless journal. It's like 27 pages of front axle lift issues. The problem with mine is the axle lift goes up, but it doesn't go down. It only goes down at like speed at like 30 miles an hour on its own. So supposedly that's a simple actuator switch. So I'm hoping I can swap that. So then you can see this car's cleanish, but all this is gonna be perfection, you know. So Scott and I are gonna spend a week on this thing. We're gonna show you all the new latest, greatest in dry ice, the dry ice machines. We're gonna dig into that. I'm gonna change the oil, ordered a new drain plug. That's help me out here. I'm assuming the same as the 9A1, but the Mezger oil change right here. Is there a secondary drain plug? This would be for the diff, right? Diff here. So you got the drain bolt for the diff and fill bolt. Do I have that correct? But like all this kind of funky 10-year-old dirt will all be gone in perfection. You can see the sole, this is a sole rear section, I believe. It looks to me more like a GMG, but Wes was telling me he thinks it's a sole. I've got to fix this. This is just chilling here. This is loose. So, in other words, it had some other kind of funky exhaust on it. So I have some of these bolts, or some of these I think I have in my storage unit, so I'm gonna grab those. So then we have what are these control arm mounts called? So what are those? And then we have these, are these TPC? From TPC Racing? Their color's red. We'll see what those look like factory springs. Factory shocks. We'll take the wheels off and take a look at that. These are factory headers. So we're going to do Dundon headers, Dundon side deletes. Yeah, there's the muffler up there. So we're going to remove the muffler. We'll have the Dundon rear section. I'm going to do the black series, the loud series center muffler. I'm not going to do titanium on this car. I think I have to look at the documentation, but the differential is a rebuilt differential. I have to look at what that is. Now, we'll get Jamie on the phone here. He said that there's a very high probability that the notchiness from because the numeric is a great shifter, but the fact that it feels difficult to get into gear, especially when you're at speed, is that these have synchro wear, and then you have the forks wear the synchros, and we have to do a transmission rebuild. So that could be a $10,000, $15,000 thing, because what I would do is I'd ship the car to Seattle and we'd go out there and take this thing apart. And if we're going to do that, we might as well re-gear it and set up the Dundon spec gearing. And then we're going to do the plenum intake, full header exhaust setup, and the Cobb tune on this puppy. And if we're going to do that, maybe I should just do track dicks and really make it awesome. But I want it street awesome, not track awesome. It will be great on the track if I set it up that way, but I want to do street awesome. So rear sway bars are in, let's see, all the way out this soft, isn't it? In would be stiff, out would be soft. So it's in the softest position, so that's not going to solve my problem. But I think that these cars, I think most people, all the research I've been doing, go middle, middle. You know, middle in the front, middle in the rear, so medium rear and front. And then these are the solid mounts, those TPCs. I'm sure you guys can tell me that. So obviously these are aftermarket. This is aftermarket. This is aftermarket. The center section is aftermarket. But just imagine what this thing is going to look like. I'll take the rear bumper off, bumper cover off. We're going to dry ice clean this to frickin' perfection. We'll take all these underbody panels off, and we're going to make this thing beautiful. Another solid mount here. Same. I think those look like TPC. ERP. This is aftermarket. Toe arm. Is that a front toe arm? I don't think the rear. Yeah, the rear toe arms are factory. The upper, there's the upper toe arm. Those are aftermarket as well. ERP, I'm not familiar with that. What's that ERP? Interesting. I'm sure you guys are going to be super helpful on this. I'm going to take pictures of all this, put it on the, put it up on the journal as well, so you guys can kind of get me up to speed into expertise here of what's on this thing, what your suggestions might be. I'm taking all that data, and then ultimately, it's my car. I'm going to make a decision. But so let's take the wheels off, and let's look at the front and rear suspension. We'll just take one side off and see what we're working with here. So we'll leave the PS4S's on the car. I'll take the wheels off. We'll dry ice clean the stock wheels. I want to see, are these stock black or are these powder coated black? Because the car was a white gold car, so it had white gold wheels, white gold mirror caps, it had white gold lettering on it. So we'll see about what to do there. I certainly won't do. I hate valve stems, fancy valve stems. Makes me think old man. I just don't like that at all. I like just regular plastic valve stem covers. All right, let me get the. Let's put this down a little further to get the center lock socket out. And those of you who are new to this type of car, I'm going to blow your face off here. Or those of you who are new to watching me mess with these cars and you don't have yourself a HYTORC, you're about to buy one, so get your wallet ready. How much are they? It's 5 something, 5,000, 5,500, something like that. So I did find this. I just had to get the manual out. This is where the center lock tool is. Socket. And figures. It's missing. I'm missing the cap removal tool. Let's see if it's in here. It's not. Ooh, we got a little little plastic bro here. That's cool. Well, looks like I'll have to buy one. Buy a, there's right in here is where you would have. So I bought a new one of these. This thing's gotten used and abused. I ordered a brand new one. They're like frickin' $200 or something like that. So here's what we're gonna do. We don't need to get our big breaker bar out, torque wrench. I've got my HYTORC right here. So this is a precision instrument for removing the center locks. I sell these. I sell these on the site. I'll put a link in the description. These are my paint depth gauges here. Put those there. That's my infrared light for when I get water spots. But this bro is freaking awesome. So HYTORC. Let's see what our battery condition looks like. Okay, we're good and charged. Power up. And we got ourselves a precision instrument to remove the center locks without having to get anything crazy out. So see, it's in CL nut mode, and so it'll torque and loosen and do the push procedure, which I'll show you in a minute here. I have to put this in place. So this tool, I saw my friends at Dundon Motorsports had made a video on it, and I told them I freaking want that. And so then we brought this to market. And then of course you saw 10 other companies say they were developing. They, you know, after we'd already launched it and had it and been working on it for a year, then magically it shows up other places where they've been doing exhaustive research and testing and watching our videos on how the thing works. Give me a break. Is this SAE? Come on. What the heck? We've been doing extensive research, and we found that this tool is amazing. Well, yeah, that's what I told you. Yep, SAE. Okay, that'll just keep it from falling off. Okay, do that. Put these away, otherwise this is going to bother me. And we're going to remove the wheel. See, I use my tools all the darn time. All day, every day. Just call me a regular old red-blooded, blue-collar, stinky old car mechanic, you know, working on this stinky old Porsche. So then this puppy will go on like that, and we'll be ready to go. There's no pin detent on this thing, so I don't love that, but we're set up to remove. So let me pop the cap off here. We'll take the wheel off. So there should be a little cap pop tool in here. I'll have to order one of those too, but a little flathead works well too. This is gonna fall, so let's just do this now. So I didn't order new caps. I think we're okay. I might have to order different caps. I don't know what the BBS is gonna have on them. Yeah, O-ring's a little beat up there. Maybe I will. These are like $200 for a set. But I did order new center lock. So we'll get into this when we talk to Jamie, but he was saying if you really want to do this right with this mileage, you should rebuild not just this, but rebuild the whole center lock mechanism. So That sounds expensive. All right, so we are in loosen mode. Watch how freaking cool this is. So find your spot, lock it in, pull the trigger. Is that not the coolest thing in the world or what? Porsche procedure on center locks, you would break the nut loose on the car. So then we ought to be able to take it the rest of the way off on our own. Uh-oh. What happened here? I just figured this thing is so beat up, it's probably all stretched and yeah. This thing is just banged up. So I'm gonna use one of these guys. You could use the machine, but why mess with the precise machine holding it on forever? So we'll just do this by hand. Don't you think this is gonna look great? Cup 2s for all my racing. I bet you these are probably fine. Looks like they're, you know, there's already optimal paste. God dang it. And now I got all over myself. There's plenty of paste. We'll check the threads here in a minute. Looks pretty decent. Hey, if any of you want to hit me up, I'll sell it cheap. Hey, Porsche guys, I've got a Precision Instruments. So I got the breaker bar and the, you know, the manual click style torque wrench. So if you want this, if you don't want to spend the 5 G's on the HYTORC, I think we have them in stock. I think they just showed up the other day. We have a bunch of them. But if you want the Precision Instruments version, hit me up. I'll sell it to you for a couple $100. This is a Delrin center lock guide, wheel guide, to help protect our. There's a guy on the forum, Ed, or no, Smoking GTS. I always get him and Ed. What is his name? I don't know that he makes them anymore, but he was making them for a while. Which is the year? Is it 996s that had a red center lock? All right, so we're gonna clean this all up. We're gonna take, oh my gosh. Oh boy. I saw a guy had these for sale. Dang. Is that on or through? Like, are we gonna be able to clean that up at all? Yikes. That's from banging wheels on and off over and over and over and over again. I saw a guy had it set for sale in Europe, you know, somewhere. It was like $6 grand. I could probably clean these up and sell them for 2 or 3, right? Yeah. Where's the, what do I do with my light? This is why I want to assess this mechanically. So we'll need to remove these and weigh them. But I'm pretty sure that the carbon ceramics don't have a lot of miles on them. But the only way to know is to weigh them. And then I'm hoping the pads are the correct pads. Can I just pull this pin out real quickly? Yeah, can't I just pull? I think I can just pull this. That won't turn on its its own. Yeah, so we're all the way low. Isn't that a Swift spring? Yes, it is. Man, just think of what this is going to look like when we dry ice clean it. So there's the aftermarket TA, the TARE. What was the company I was just saying? People are going to get so mad at me. You don't know anything about the car. Well, I just got it. Terran Engineering. TAREN, is it? I can't see past there. Man, this thing has been driven dirty through mud puddles and all kinds of, what the heck is that? Killed some birds or something? This just got a lot more expensive.
Something on the bottom too, the caliper.
I know, I saw that. I'm gonna go back and find that post. It was one of the 997 groups. I'm gonna freaking buy them. It was $6 grand for rotors and,
That's pretty good.
yeah. I just don't want to get scammed. Yeah. It was one of the 997 groups. Or do any of you guys have takeoffs that you've taken this whole thing and want to sell them to me? It's going to look completely different once we clean it. But
In worst case, you could just powder coat the.
yeah, but you never want to take, I mean, it's such a process to take apart these things. Yeah, so they never fully disassemble, then they just paint them. It's just I'd rather just get new ones and then clean them up and sell them for, you know, some number less. This is where I'm gonna really set this thing apart and take this thing to like OG spec, and then I'm gonna really dial all this in. Is this factory? I guess it would be factory fenders. You can see the rub here, inner rub. So aftermarket springs, clearly too low. It would need a helper spring to really do this properly. So it's set up too low. You would need to do something about that if you really wanted to do it right. I mean, I'm not a big, I mean, when are we ever gonna go to full droop in this car? At least I'm not going to go to full droop, meaning that the car would be up in the air, you know, and the left wheel would be all the way up to whatever this level is, and the spring would be hanging. Yeah. Another question for you guys. So if I do tractive, does that utilize with the axle lift? Does that utilize I'm assuming it utilizes the factory axle lift setup. I would think so. Or would the aftermarket, does it have its own airbag inside of it? I suspect not. Yeah. So this is disappointing. I couldn't see that at all. Yeah, that's the powder coat worn right through. I'm dropping wheel after wheel after wheel after wheel on it. It will look a lot better when we clean it, but not great. Let's take the rear off. See what we're working with here. Telling you, having this tool, even if you're just taking your wheels off every now and then, if you have a $300,000 car, even $150,000 car, I mean, get yourself the tool, man. This thing is incredible. We just saw how freaking, I'll show you how easy it is when we put this back on. How awesome it is. Now it does touch the wheel, but it's super gentle. Still loosen. I think my battery's dead. I get my battery on the charger while I'm messing around here. This is kind of fun. All I know is that I've been doing this process and just enjoying the heck out of it. It's a little bit fun, you know, it's like an Easter egg. Like I don't know the history of the car. What do I got? And I don't know this car very well. And so what am I going to need to do to get it to where I wanted to get it to? And then defining that. You know, how far do I want to go? How much money you want to spend? You can spend an infinite amount. But I don't know, I've been having a blast journaling this, writing this up, and figuring out what things I want to change and what I don't want to spend the money on. Obviously, I would benefit on the street, for me, from doing the tractive stuff. And it would also tell me when I do get one of these cars that I want to keep for you know, a long time. And I would get like some crazy museum piece. You know, how far do I want to go? What works best? So that's what's been, I think, so exciting about me obsessing over this car and working on one little section at a time. We'll clean this up and reapply the Optimal. So January 5th, I'm going down to Scott's, who's at the Dryce, what do they call it? The Dryce factory or whatever. Dryce Days place, where they do all the testing and product stuff with dry ice clean. It's only 20 minutes from me. So we're going to take the car down there and we're going to do a full-on dry ice cleaning. So these look like factory springs to me. And that is not set up super low. And then here's our toe arm. Whatever pads are on here, they're pretty darn clean. The only thing that made me a little bit nervous was, you know, when I cleaned these last night, there was some black looking dirt, and I don't know about first gen carbon ceramics, but second gen carbon ceramics don't make that kind of a mess. So I'm just hoping they didn't throw the wrong pads on these carbon ceramics. So I guess we could pull the pin out and take a look at them. These aren't as bad. So what do you think? Should I do sway bars? We already have the solid mounts. Looks like they're, let me go Google that. I'll wash my hands and Google. I think it's Terran. Terret. Freaking idiot. I haven't heard that name before. Okay. So they have a coilover kit. They do have a front sway bar, but we don't have that. They have a rear sway bar. Front sway bar's $1,700, jeez. Front drop links. Rear drop links. So I think that's what we have. Rear toe link. What did I say that brand was on the toe link? Oh, there's Tom from TPC responding. I'm gonna call him up and ask him what to do. Yep, that's what I got. Let's just try the website, erpparts.com. Okay, cool. So that's all my toe lengths. I suspect this site is no longer in commish. 996 parts. Now I'm stuck. Site is currently under construction. So then, anyway, you guys can help me figure this stuff out of what I got and what I should change. Let me see if I can find that. Let me go back to groups. I'm probably freaking buy this right now. See how groups. There's one of these 997 groups. I don't think it was 997 Ren listers. Crap, I'll have to try to find it later. So, we'll fix the exhaust for now. We're gonna get an even better assessment when we get everything apart and start cleaning it. I'm gonna take a look at the pads, see if they're the right pads. It's that little. I'm gonna look into doing some suspension upgrades. Everything will look a lot better when it's clean. You guys want to see how the center lock goes back on, and we'll wrap this video up. Again, I just wanted to give you a state of the mechanical now, and then we'll make a whole bunch of videos as we update mechanically. I'm gonna probably take this back off, so I'll reapply the Optimal. Which one was this? Oh, there's this one. So you should reapply. But I just wanted to show you. If you were using a breaker bar, you wouldn't be doing this. Once it comes off, once it goes back on, it's not coming back off, but because of how simple this thing is and how well it works. Stuff gets everywhere. I can do this for you. So procedurally, no braking lugs or tightening when the car's on the ground. So the car needs to be in the air like it is. You need to tighten to 442 foot-pounds. And then after that, you need to back it off a quarter turn and then retorque. Which obviously you wouldn't be able to do with this. I would need a 4 foot torque wrench to do it. But with my little beauty here, for a measly 5,000 bucks or so, you can do this just like this. Okay, so we want to go. Which one do we do? It's right here. I'm a freaking idiot. Torque. Okay. Now it's on center lock nut. So what I do is go to tighten. And just keep holding. It'll bring it to torque. It'll back it off. Keep holding. That's it. If you're a Porsche guy, you're a track guy, like this guy was, that'll freaking change your life. Isn't that the coolest thing ever? I've already checked it. You send it in to get calibrated once a year or so. But now that's properly torqued, 442 foot-pounds. You can take it to the bank. But I've checked it with like with my regular click style. I mean, the other option is you buy one of these turkeys, like this sucker here, which I sell these too. If you want one of these, get this little bro. All right, set it to 442 and put the thing close to the ground, but not on the ground, and give it a ride. I think I would rather use that fancy machine. Okay, so that's where we're at mechanically. I'll address each one of these things one step at a time. I'm kind of obsessing here a little bit. I want to get in and find those brakes and see if I can find them. Sorry, I thought I was done with the video, but there's a lot going on here. So first question, I got a lot of questions for you today. I normally am telling you what to do. So this thing is a numeric shifter. So if I'm clutch in, I'm shifting. And it feels pretty much the same when I'm driving. I need to go out and do a driving video for you. But the first to second gear when driving feels super notchy. And then the second to third gear is clunky. Third to fourth is fine. Up to fifth is fine. You know, sixth is fine. The reverse is fine. But the first to second and the second to third is super clunky. Is there, you know, Jamie and I talked about the possibility of needing a transmission rebuild, but how much adjustability is there on the numeric and the cables? I'm going to take this thing apart and see if maybe it just needs some cable adjustment. I'm thinking I would like to run the numeric with stock cables, but this is, you know, it's actually easier to drive now. But once you know, the flywheel's engaged and the car is actually moving, it's not quite this good. It's like I gotta kind of do one of these deals where I'm just kind of working it in. It's just not a smooth like that. So I need to pull this off. I guess take the center console off. And I need to watch some videos on numeric and see about adjustability. Now, I learned some things about the suspension. I just talked with Tom from TPC Racing for half an hour or so. And so I'm like, yeah, I want to get this suspension, blah, blah, blah. And so he said, well, hold on, before you get crazy on me, let's talk about, because I'd sent him a PM, private message on a Ren list and said, you know, the problem with the car is if I go from 20% to 10% throttle in a turn at 25 miles an hour, the thing wiggles, it steps out on me. And so I think part of the issue is it's not just a sway bar setting. I'm going to show you what the issue is, and maybe you guys can point me in the direction on what to do here. So before I start going swapping suspension parts, we've got several things to address. So we just talked about, we have upper toe arm, I guess we'd call this. So you got the toe adjustability there. We've got camber adjustability here. You've got shim ability there. So there's shims. And then this bushing, this solid bushing is also adjustable. So there's different holes you can use. So I've got 1, 2, 3, 4 different adjustment points. And so what Tom was telling me, these cars are real touchy in that you can have it perfectly aligned on the rack. Oh, and then I also have the sway bar setting, which isn't that big of a deal. But you can have the thing perfectly set up, but then under load, we end up with the potential for, you know, the geometry changes. So what I think I want to do, and maybe you can talk me in or out of this, I think what I want to do is buy a new one of these arms, stock. It'll have the factory urethane bushing here. So put the factory setup back here. Take whatever this piece is called, go factory, back to the factory shim, you know, back to whatever the factory distance the shim is here. Get this toe arm out of here, go back to factory toe arm, and then just do standard camber adjustment. I don't want to run extra camber. We can leave the adjustable toe links, go back to the middle setting, so middle in the front and rear, and then do the tractive suspension. So do the suspension with DSC control. And then I can adjust the ride height. He also suggested these cars from the factory have a 1-inch difference between front and rear, so have about a 1-inch rake. Go to a 1/2-inch rake, so you'd be about a 1/2 inch higher in the rear than you are in the front. The other thing the front has is the front tie rod. So this tie rod here, which I'm a little less concerned about. I also need to pull the plastics off up top, see what the camber plates look like. But this here, I'm inclined to get factory tie rod back on the car, because we just have too many factors that are contributing to wonkiness. I'm going to come up a little bit in the front, get my rake set up properly. So I'm going to get all this factory stuff put back on, and then align it, drive it, see how it feels, then go to something like Tractive and the DSC controller. What do you guys think about that? That's what I'm thinking about doing. So I'm going to go shop and see, what do these things cost? Is this cost prohibitive? What are we talking about here to get fresh OE parts? And then, it'll be simple to bolt on. You take the parts off and bolt them in place. That'll be really easy to do, and then just go get an alignment done. And we'll see how that goes. Clearly my wheels and tires, my tires are going to be fine. I stick with the stock sway bars. This is why I never really mess with the suspension on my GT3, because it was something that I could lower it a little bit stock and not have to change anything and end up in great shape. And so in this case, I think that all I've been reading about Tractive with their active dampers with the DSC controller can be even more streetable and faster if you were going to take the car to the track. So that's what I'm thinking about doing. So that's my update, and I'm interested in hearing your comments and interested in your participation over on the Rentless group on the forum page. So anyway, thanks for watching. Thanks for your input. See you soon.